In this video, I'm going to explain the gas and water systems and the diesel heater in the XT17HRT family. And I'm going to start with the new gas connection, which is part of the new standards for gas. It's called an LCC 27 fitting, and it's different to what you're used to seeing attached to your gas bottles with your barbecues and models of RVs prior to this change in legislation. It's now got an encapsulating nut. It is an external coarse thread. So this actually screws on around the outside. And in the event there's a fire at the gas bottle, this fitting will melt and allow the hose to come away from the bottle, cutting the gas flow. Big difference is the valves on the new gas bottle are not able to let gas out unless you have an appliance connected, which is fantastic. And it is so easy. So if you're moving close, I'll show you how it connects to the gas bottle. If you need any further information, there's a card on the pigtail here, so you can scan it. It'll take you to a video which will show you everything you need to know. And to connect it, pop it on, screw it clockwise, unlike the old fittings which were counterclockwise. Screw it on clockwise, keep going until it's firm. And before you turn the gas bottle on, just make sure all your gas appliances are indeed turned off. Keep in mind, this storage area is only for gas bottles and their associated equipment. It's not a dry storage or dust-free storage. Anything you put in here will be exposed, and you can see right through the bottom of this to the ground. So don't store anything else in here. The approval on this gas system is designed around this storage locker and its proximities to any sources of spark or flame. So don't go installing a Weber or something on the drawbar and running your gas lead into the bottle, because that won't be compliant because of the relationship on how far the flame is away from this storage area. This is only for storing your gas bottles. And before you do anything, make sure all your appliances are off before you turn this gas on. Now for setting up the kitchen, first thing you do, grab the kitchen support leg. It's generally installed in the front area there when you get your van. Open up our hatch. And on the kitchen, there are two locking mechanisms. First one here is a pad bolt. This is the main securing mechanism to stop the kitchen from moving around during transport. To lift this, turn it so the blue knob is facing straight out, lift it up and then turn it 90 degrees. And this roll pin will sit on these two pins here and keep it up out of the way. To release the slide, press down on the blue tab and grab the kitchen from this chassis mounted handle. Don't grab it from here, that's a pull out table. Grab it from the chassis mounted handle and slide it all the way out. You'll feel the slide click into place when it's fully extended. Then we grab our kitchen leg. Now, there is a locating hole just in the front corner here. Pop our kitchen leg in, release the knob. Now, what I do is I give the kitchen a small lift and then tighten that up. So the end weight of the kitchen sits fully on that support leg. Now I can open up the kitchen and connect the gas. First of all, we need to undo the little rubber restraint there, and we can put up our dish rack. Now, press in the two braces there so they sit nice and firm, and that secures it. On this side, there's a little release lever. If you pull the pin out, that'll allow each tray to drop down into position. Lock the pin back in and they're secure. Now we can open up our wind buffer or wind shield. And bring our little side wings out into position. Now once they slot into position, there's a slot at the front here on each side to secure those in. That's done. We can open up our glass lid and expose our cooktop. Now, the only thing left to do to get cooking is connect up our gas. On the front here is a small panel. Our plug for our sink. We also have our drain hose for the sink, which we need to run out the relief or the hole in the bottom of the kitchen and run that into a bucket or a jerry can. And our gas hose here. Now, it's a bayonet connection and it has a slot which slots into 2 tabs on the bayonet on the side of the Caravan. You push it in and then turn it clockwise and that'll lock it in position. Something I find really helps is to do this before I open the gas valve on the gas bottle. That way there's less pressure behind the push fitting in the bayonet receiver and it makes it a lot easier to connect. So I'll just show you how to remove the dust cap and plug in the gas hose. As you can see on the dust cap, the relief for releasing it past the tabs is in the center. So this will lock either way. So the easy way to get this out when it's in position is to put some pulling force on it and wiggle it back and forward until you feel the little tabs inside here slot into the middle and then pull it out. So because there's a rubber seal, etc. in there, it'll be quite firm. But like I say, if you wiggle it back and forward until you feel that hit the slot, it'll be easy to get out. Now to put the gas bayonet in, we line up the tabs, press in and lock it in place. That's now connected, so I can turn on my gas bottle and light the barbecue. When you use a gas appliance on your Caravan for the first time, or after a bottle change, or if the Caravan's been sitting for quite some time, it may take a little while for the gas to purge through the system and get to the appliance that you're starting to light. This one, the first time, it'll probably take about 5 to 10 seconds for the gas to get from the gas bottle to the actual appliance before it lights. This cooktop has a electric igniter, which you operate manually. It's battery operated, and I'll show you how to replace that battery shortly. So to light the burner, first we need to press the knob in and turn it on, and I can hear the gas and press the igniter. It's now burning, so I just hold the knob in for another 5 or so seconds and release it, and the flame will continue. Now, this system has an automatic flame out, so if the flame goes out, the gas will cut off and no longer supply the burner. The battery for the igniter is an AA battery. To release it, unscrew the shroud and there's your battery. So keep a spare AA battery or 2 in your camping kit in case you need to change that. Pop that back on, screw it back in, and it's working again. Packing up the kitchen, there's a couple of things you need to remember. First of all, allow the cooktop to cool down before closing the glass lid. You don't want to be closing this on top of hot burners. So I'm checking them, they've cooled right down. I can close that down and pack away my windshields. So push them out of their slots, raise them up, swing them around and pack them in like that. Put the rubber cord on, stop things rattling around while we're traveling. Now I can pack down my dish rack. So same again, pull the pins out, put them in the vertical position and let the pins lock back in. Pull these braces forward and drop it down. Also remember to retrieve your drain hose for your kitchen. So pull that back up through the hole in the bottom. That's secured. Now I've turned my gas bottle off and I've released the gas through the cooktop to get rid of any residual pressure there, which will make disconnecting my gas hose a lot easier. So push it in, turn it to the left, and there's my gas hose released. Pop that into the kitchen, lock my door, and I can put my dust cap back into position. Dust caps in, make sure all my drawers are shut, and this cupboard door here. You don't want any of them to open while you're traveling. It can make it difficult to get the kitchen out when you stop next. Remove my support leg. And to push the kitchen back in, the first thing I do is make sure this pin is, the pad bolt is still in the up position. I don't want that to strike the edge of the van and the seal for the door on the way in, as it'll do damage. Make sure my slide out table's locked in. This pin's easy to use. To release it, press the button and it'll come out. When it's back in, press that down and it's locked in place. To slide the kitchen back in, press down the blue tab, slide it in until it locks, then release the pad bolt back down. Kitchen's now secure. I can close my door up. You can even, if you want to, store your kitchen leg in there beside the kitchen so they're all in the same cabinet. Lock it up and we're all done. First step in lighting the gas hot water system, and it's gas only in this model, is removing the Truma flue. To do this properly, you need to put your thumb in the center and fingertips on the top. Press in with your thumbs, pull back with your fingertips, and that allows this relief to come off this little wedge here. So that's now off, so we can store that away, and that'll allow us to go inside once the gas is turned on and light the Truma hot water system. Also on this side, we have our mains water connection. Now, this little fitting is where you connect your hose for your mains water. I suggest you use a food grade hose for it, and your normal quick connect fitting will go straight on this. Now, remember when you connect mains water, turn your water pump off, okay? So make sure your water pump's turned off before you connect your mains water. Here we have our water filling receptacles and our grey water tank flush. Now to open these, we select the correct key, pop that in, turn it, and it releases. So we've got the front water tank, rear water tank, and the flush for the grey water tank. So when you empty your grey water tank through the large valve that's connected to it, you can stick a hose in there and flush it out. And you can also add your chemicals, so your tank freshener, through here or through one of the drains in the caravan. Down here we have our shower for our external shower. You can watch the video on how we set up the shower tents on the XTs, and this is where your fittings are. So once your water pump's on, your hot water system's up to temperature, you can then use this. Put these back in, turn it, turn the key, and that's locked. So also, when you're draining your water tanks or using water from your tanks, there are two selector valves just underneath here. They're black, and they select which tank you're going to draw water from. The valves are easy to use. The forward one towards the front is the front tank. The one towards the back is the rear tank. When the valve is at 90 degrees to the hose, that is the off position. When it is in line with the hose, that is the on position. The inside kitchen cooktop is exactly the same as that on the slide out kitchen, exactly the same operation. Keep in mind you've got a range hood here to suck cooking smells and hot air out of the van. Always remember to check that you've taken off the cover on the range hood vent on the back of the van on the outside. So for that to operate properly, that cover will need to be removed. It's just 4 press studs to remove it. And you've also got a light. The only other thing you need to know is there's an isolation valve underneath the cooktop inside the cupboard on the left-hand side. Everything you need to know, same deal with the igniter, same deal with waiting for the gas to come through. Being at the back, it's going to take a little while longer. And I would suggest running this cooktop, getting gas to it and the burner alight before you try the gas hot water system, because that'll purge just about all of the air out of the system. controls for both the diesel heater and the hot water system are just on the side of the bottom bunk here, and they're very easy to use. Before using either, first you do is switch them on at the main control panel, whichever one you want to use. Then come to here and I'll show you how to switch on both. Firstly, the hot water system is a 3-position rocker switch. The center position is off. Up and down are the temperature selections, and to select turning them on. Once you've switched it on at the main panel, your gas is on, you've purged your water, made sure that the hot water system is full of water, you can simply switch it on. You'll hear a clunking noise and then a ticking noise, and if the unit fails to light, a red light will come on and tell you so. Now remember, you're still purging air out of the system the first time you use it and when you've changed the gas bottle. So if it takes half a dozen or so times for it to light and stay lit, that's what it takes. So as long as the red light doesn't come on, the unit has ignited and it's warming the water, and it'll take around 10 to 15 minutes to heat up. To switch it off, return it to the center position and you're done. With the diesel heater, if you want to run it in fan mode, you can simply press the bottom button and that'll use the diesel heater to circulate just fresh air through the caravan. You'll hear the fan start up and air will flow through the outlet. To switch it off, simply press that same button and it will turn itself off. To run it as a diesel heater, all you need to do is press this top button here. When you press it, the light will come on, the fan will start up, which you can probably hear, and it'll go through a starting process where the lights will flicker a little bit. It seems to affect only the remote control lights in the caravan, as the diesel heater glow plug is heating up to ignite the diesel. When you start this, allow it to go right through its complete startup cycle. Once it starts to heat up, the fan speed will pick up and you'll feel warm air coming through it. Some tips for you with running the diesel heater is, in freezing conditions, the paraffin in diesel can actually freeze, become solid, which will cause a problem. It'll clog filters and things like that. So the diesel won't work as it's supposed to. So if you're planning a trip where you're going to have continued freezing conditions, you may want to drain your diesel heater tank and fill it up with diesel in the local area that already has an additive for winter use. And another tip, when you run your diesel heater each time, it doesn't hurt to run it at full temperature, so you're running it at maximum for 5 to 10 minutes to clear any soot. And if you're an avid four-wheel driver or your van's been stored for quite a period of time, you need to check that you haven't caked mud around the air intake underneath the van or blocked the exhaust with mud. Or if it's been stored, wasps could have built nests in the air intake or the exhaust that will also affect the diesel heater starting up and operating. So they're the first things you check. You need good fuel. Don't let the fuel store in the diesel heater tank for long periods of time. Diesel does go off. So if you got to the end of winter and you don't think you're going to use your diesel heater until the following winter, drain the tank and drain the line and store it that way. Then you can't have diesel going off. When it comes time to winter again, fill it up full of clean diesel and it should start no problems at all. Now, one of the important things with shutting down your diesel heater is not interrupting the shutdown process. So it's a simple matter of pressing the same button that you activate the diesel heater and allowing it to run completely through its cycle and shut itself down before you turn it off at the panel. So if you're running the diesel heater or the hot water system, remember, if you just say, okay, we're leaving the van, and you just flick it off at the main 12 volt switch, neither of them will go through their shutdown process, particularly the diesel heater, which can cause bad diesel smells and interfere with the operation of it. So now I'll show you how to shut it down. Now to shut it down, simply press this top button, the wavy line button, once. Now the shutdown cycle has begun. The fan will run and cool the system down as the fuel supply stops and the glow plug stops igniting diesel. But like I said, it's important that it cools down on its own terms and completes that cycle so you don't end up with any problems with your diesel heater or bad smells in your caravan. So that covers this video on the gas, water and diesel heater systems on the XT17HRT family. Remember, when you're picking up your new caravan, ask the salesperson to print you a copy of the owner manual or go to the MDC website and download it to your digital device. Then you've got it wherever you go. Also, check out our other YouTube videos and the masterclass for more tips on how to make your camping life so much easier.